The aspiring magician, inventor, and chocolatier Willy Wonka arrives by boat to an anonymous European city to fulfill his dream of opening his chocolate shop in the gourmet galleries while singing. And so it begins. Welcome to Random Recaps. In this video, I am going to recap the movie. Then they fine him for daydreaming.
Bruh.
Wonka sits down and takes out of his hat a candle, a clock, and hot chocolate. Then a guy named Bleacher and a dog arrive. He tells him that he will help him find a room to sleep in, and takes him to a laundry owned by Mrs. Scrubbit. Mrs. Scrubbit makes Wonka sign a contract. Noodle, an orphan girl who stays with Sour, warns Wonka to read the fine print, but Sour interrupts her. Wonka signs the contract, since he believes everything is fine. Mrs. Scrubbit locks up Noodle for interfering. The next day, Wonka goes to the gourmet galleries to present his invention, the Hoverchocks, while singing a song. They are chocolates that fly. The three main chocolatiers of the galleries, Mr. Slugworth, Fickelgruber, and Prodnose. They stand watching the show when it ends. Slugworth calls the police, and the three go to talk to Wonka to test the chocolates. When tasting it, Mr. Slugworth says that Wonka's chocolates are lousy.
Boo!
By the way, this flying chocolate also makes people fly. He feeds the others and they also fly away. The police arrive and take Wonka's earnings because of Slugworth. But at least they give him a little coin. Wonka goes back to Mrs. Scrubbit, who charges him for everything, a total of 10,000 coins. But as Wonka has no money, they force him to work in the laundry for 10,000 days. In the laundry, he meets other trapped people like Noodle, the accountant Abacus, the plumber Piper, the comedian Larry, and the telephone operator Lottie Bell. And in a song, Abacus and the others explain to Wonka what he has to do. Later, Noodle tells Wonka that she warned him, but Wonka doesn't know how to read. Noodle owes 30,000 days of work. Noodle tells Wonka that she has never tasted chocolate. Wonka is surprised, so he makes chocolate for her to try. Wonka says he wanted to be a magician. His mother was a cook, and they lived in the river. They didn't have much money, but the mother gathered cocoa to make chocolate for little Wonka. The mother tells him that she knows a secret. Wonka's mother gets sick and only her chocolate bar was left of her. So not even the secret she told him. Wonka makes chocolate for Noodle and gives it to her. Wonka offers Noodle chocolate for life if she helps him go out to sell chocolate. The Chocolate Cartel has a base of operations located under a parish led by the corrupt father mystery bin here called Julius. The chief of police goes down to see the chocolatiers. These chocolatiers ask the chief of police to threaten Wonka singing, and they bribe him with chocolate. The chief refuses, but the chocolatiers keep singing to convince him. The next day, Wonka tells Bleach that Mrs. Scrubbit is in love with him. Noodle tries to convince Mrs. Scrubbit that Bleacher is an aristocrat. Bleach appears and starts making suggestive poses for Mrs. Scrubbit. Wonka makes an automatic washing machine and manages to leave with Noodle. But Wonka's chocolates were stolen, and he says it was a little orange man with green hair. But Noodle thinks he's crazy. To make more chocolate, Wonka needs the milk from a giraffe.
What?
So they sneak into a zoological garden, and they find the giraffe Abigail. Wonka asks Abigail for permission to milk her. Noodle says she doesn't know her real name since she only has a ring with an N. Noodle dreams of someday getting her parents, and then they start singing. Wonka and Noodle leave the zoo flying with balloons. The chief of police arrives and threatens him not to sell more chocolates in the city, and then hits him. Wonka and Noodle return to the laundry. Abacus asks him where he was. Wonka confesses that he is a chocolatier. Mr. Abacus tells him that the chocolatiers have been allied for years, something like a chocolate cartel, and they keep the leftover chocolate in a secret vault under the parish, and they use the chocolate to bribe others. When Abacus realizes this, Rapina fires him. At night, Wonka pays Noodle with chocolate, and Noodle wants to teach Wonka to read. The other locked up people also want to help Wonka. The next day, Wonka finds a guy with lack of confidence, so he gives him a chocolate bar, and this one acquires more self-confidence and starts dancing with Wonka. The other people come to buy chocolate from him. The police come and Wonka escapes. Around the city, Wonka sells his chocolates while escaping from the police, and people are loving it. And at night, Noodle teaches Wonka to read. Sales go up and up, while the other chocolatiers lower his earnings. Wonka sells chocolates in the city and escapes again. The chief of police who got fat realizes that Wonka is escaping through the sewers. At night, the yellow guy with green hair comes to steal from Wonka. Wonka sets a trap for him and manages to catch him. The guy says he's an Oompa Loompa named Lofty. The Oompa Loompa says that years ago Wonka went to Loompa Land and stole some cocoa beans he was supervising. So the Oompa Loompa banish Lofty and send him to look for Wonka to pay them back 1,000. Wonka releases Lofty, gives him a cane, and he hits him and steals the chocolates. The next day, Wonka tells the others what happened, but no one believes him. Wonka's group shows him a place they can pay for to open the chocolate shop. The chief of police gossips everything to the chocolatiers and asks for more chocolate to catch Wonka. Mr. Slugworth goes to Mrs. Scrubbit's house and tells her about what Wonka and Noodle are doing. The next day, Wonka opens his store to the public, and singing sells chocolate to everyone. Everyone happy, everyone content, although something strange begins to happen. The customer's hair begins to discolor. Wonka realizes that his chocolates have Yeti sweat. The customers get angry and blame Wonka for what is happening to them, and they start destroying and burning the restaurant. While Mr. Slugworth smiles, Wonka is saddened by what happened. The chocolate cartel arrives and admits that they paid Scrubbit to poison the chocolates. The cartel shows Wonka that they are willing to give him the money he owes Scrubbit, and the debt of the others too. But only if he leaves the city and never ever makes chocolate again. Sad and singing, Wonka accepts. The cartel gives him a ticket to the North Pole. On the ship, the Oompa Loompa appears. He tells him that one more jar and he fulfills the debt of the Oompa Loompa, although Wonka tells him he promised not to make any more chocolate. Wonka looks at his hand and realizes that Slugworth has a familiar ring like Noodle's. Wonka wants to go back because he believes Noodle is in danger. Looking for the captain, he realizes the ship is going to explode. The ship explodes and the cartel believes Wonka died. Mrs. Scrubbit tells the group that Wonka accepted a deal for them to be free, except Noodle, since Slugworth paid Scrubbit to keep Noodle in the laundry forever.
Come on, man.
Wonka arrives to save Noodle. Wonka plans to enter the cartel's vault to prove the cartel poisoned the chocolates. Noodle puts mint in the priest's pockets. Wonka takes Abigail from the zoo, and they take her to the parish. Abigail chases the priest. The priest calls a call center to connect him to the zoo, but Lottie is there who connects him with Larry pretending to be the zoo. Wonka's group pretends to be people from the zoo looking for the giraffe. There, Wonka and Noodle infiltrate under the parish and give a chocolate to the guard. He faints. They open the vault. Slugworth hears about the accident at the parish. He calls the priest. The priest tells him about the giraffe and Slugworth gets scared. Noodle finds the cartel's accounting book, but the armed cartel arrives. Wonka tells Noodle that Slugworth is her family, since Noodle is the daughter of Slugworth's deceased brother. Noodle's mother asked Slugworth for help. He agrees, but instead of helping throws Noodle into the laundry. Mrs. Scrubbit finds her. When Noodle's mother returns, Slugworth tells her Noodle died and gave her coins to leave. The cartel locks Wonka and Noodle in the chocolate vault to drown them. Wonka asks the cartel to hand over a jar of chocolates to the Oompa Loompa. The cartel eats the chocolates. They give one to the priest. Noodle and Wonka are about to drown. The furious Oompa Loompa arrives with the cartel for eating his chocolate and saves Noodle and Wonka. The chubby officer arrives. Wonka and Noodle come out and give him the book revealing the corruption the cartel and the chief of police have done. The cartel starts flying from the flying chocolates. Noodle and the others open the fountain containing the cartel's chocolate mixed with Wonka's ingredients. The crowd celebrates by tasting the chocolate fountain. Wonka unwraps his mother's chocolate bar where he sees a golden ticket unveiling his mother's secret, which is that it is better to share chocolate. Wonka shares his mother's chocolate with his friends. The group found Noodle's biological mother and Wonka takes her to see her. The Oompa Loompa appears, and Wonka pays off the debt. Before leaving, Wonka offers the Oompa Loompa a job. They buy an abandoned castle and build the chocolate factory there. And so the movie ends. Well, Scrubbit and Bleacher are jailed for poisoning the chocolates. And that's it. End of the movie.